Hi folks, thanks for joining us at Freedom Forest, a 3-acre off-grid farmstead in the southeast of England, where we are growing as much of our own food as possible. Today I wanted to share an update on our main outdoor growing area. It's been about 4 weeks since we filmed a full tour of our outdoor beds, which you can check out in this video here. And we're in the first week of August now, just going into the second week actually, and I feel this is a real transitional time for this outdoor growing space. Even though we are still only just starting to enjoy many of our summer crops like tomatoes and aubergines and runner beans, now I feel this space is changing and the focus is very much turning to our winter crops. So I'm going to share a few of the changes with you today, and also some of the things that I'm sowing right now and will be over the next month. Until just a couple of weeks ago, this bed here, where you can see the covering, was filled with all of our onions, and we've had an amazing harvest of onions from this bed, probably the biggest harvest I've ever had. And this bed here, which is now empty, was our French garlic, which we harvested at the very end of June. This bed here will be replanted again with all of our beautiful French garlic at the end of September or beginning of October. So we will actually leave this bed empty until that time. But we have given it a good tidy up and a fresh layer of compost just about a week ago. So now that will sit and can feed all of the soil below, and it will be ready to plant whenever we are ready to put our garlic in. And this space here is now very much a growing space for our winter crops, other than one small patch of salad which remains in this bed, which is also under the cover, as I feel that shielding the lettuce from the sun is actually really beneficial. I don't tend to grow a lot of lettuce during the peak summer because it takes so much water in, and being that we're quite limited on our watering abilities here, where this site is completely off-grid, so we rely solely on water catchment from rain and what we can hold in our tanks that we pump up from some water storage areas. So lettuce is something that I find very time consuming in the summer months, and so for that reason we tend to grow most of our lettuce during the winter here, which I really look forward to, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. So first week in August, and under this covering here I've just direct sown a big section of turnips, which I absolutely love for winter soups and stews. And I've also popped some coriander seed in direct to hopefully act as a companion plant for the turnips. There's also some transplants that have recently gone in. I've got some leafing chicory, which I'm trying for the first time this year, which I sowed into plugs back a month or so ago. We've got another batch of chard, and I am loving this pink stem chard that we have been growing this year. And then we've also got some dill, which I grew from plugs back in July, and then a direct sowing of my last batch of carrots, which I sowed on the 1st of August. And we've actually got some really good germination from the carrots there, which I am really happy to see. The germination on these turnips has been super quick too, which I am also really happy to see. So as you can see, this bed here has got lots of roots and greenery, which is going to feed us right through the winter. And there's still time to direct sow turnips if you haven't done so already, and lots of other beautiful vegetables that will see us through winter. Later on this month, I will do a second sowing of turnips, which I'll sow into trays. And I'll also be sowing some more cooler loving herbs like dill, more coriander and chervil. And I'll also be doing a big sowing of spinach to fill one of the gaps in the outdoor growing area as they come available. So yes, still lots of seeds that I'll be sowing in August that will give us beautiful crops for the winter. And I'll also be sowing a few extra brassicas, which I'm going to be trialling growing undercover in our polytunnel this year. My main polytunnel sowing will come around early to mid-September though, and that is actually often my biggest sowing of the year, where we are blessed with such beautiful undercover growing space. And that is where, like I was saying earlier, I prefer to grow salad. And I find it just grows better for us in the winter. It doesn't need as much watering. And also I find the plants stay a lot cleaner than when you grow them outdoors. And there's also less troubles from things like slugs and snails. So September will be a big sowing of lots of different loose leaf, winter hardy varieties of lettuce. And again, I'll be doing another sowing of those same herbs for winter: coriander, chervil, dill. I'll do more spinach to harvest as baby spinach for salads in the polytunnel as well. And I'll be doing spring onions again because they were so successful last year in our polytunnel. If you haven't seen the big harvest that I took from our spring onions just a few weeks ago, then check out this video here. And I'll also be adding a few oriental greens to the mix as well, like mizuna, maybe some pak choy, and also some mustards to add some really good flavour to our winter salads. And these greens that we sow in September will feed us right through until May next year, when we change the polytunnel over again for our summer plantings. And then this bed here is a real mixture of both winter and summer crops. This end of the bed here has been feeding us with a summer planting of this beautiful rainbow chard. It's also got some carrots in from an early sowing that we're harvesting right now. And then it's got these spring onions, which have mainly been planted as a companion, but I will just harvest those if we need them. And I've also been adding to this bed throughout the season. So behind me here, we've got more crops which are going to be predominantly feeding us through the later part of the year. We've got a later planting of this lovely pink stem Swiss chard. And I've also got a big batch of beetroots that I sowed in plugs, and also some beetroot seed which I sowed direct just to fill any gaps that came up. Further down the bed, we've got parsley, which is a beautiful herb which I use so much of. That has been feeding us through summer and will continue to go right through to winter, probably until it gets killed off by any frosts. And then right down the end of the bed, I've got my main outdoor sowing of parsnips, which is also companion planted with dill, which is actually flowering now, and also spring onions again, which are predominantly there just as a companion plant, but can of course be harvested if we need them. As you can see, this bed is also companion planted throughout with lots of beautiful marigolds as well. Another winter crop which is now really prominent in this growing area is our leeks. And this first batch of leeks is coming on really well. In fact, I'm actually concerned that they are going to be ready sooner than I would like. But I do have another 2 patches of leeks, one further down this bed and one at the end of one of these lower growing beds as well. So they should be nicely staggered. And all being well, these leeks will stand all winter, and we normally only begin harvesting our leeks early in the new year. And you can actually see behind me here, I've left a patch of leeks that we didn't harvest from last year's plantings to flower. One, because their flowers are absolutely beautiful and the insects love them, and two, because I'm hoping to save my own leek seed this year, because having fresh allium seed in particular is really, really helpful. It is best to have really fresh seed when growing things like leeks, onions and spring onions as well. I hope you've enjoyed having a look around our growing beds today and seeing the natural transition that is happening between our summer and winter crops. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, it is a massive help for us if you can give it a thumbs up. Also, we love hearing from you in the comments, so let us know your thoughts, and we would also love to know what you are sowing and planting now as well. So drop that in the comments below, as it is really helpful to all of us to hear what everybody around the world and around the country is growing too. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again soon. Peace and plants.